So after maybe the last 4 years of me having so much chronic sinus problems and breathing problems and never getting any answers, I finally have a diagnosis. And I feel like that is so freeing when you can finally find out what the trigger is in the body, because all this time I've been trying to heal, do my own self-healing, and not particularly knowing where I'm supposed to be directing my energy to. So what I have is, well, I've been like, I don't like having a label, but in a way it helps to understand what a condition is, so then you can then work on the healing side of it. I've been diagnosed with Samter's triad, which is a combination of asthma, nasal polyps, and chronic sinusitis. It's now coming under the name of AERD, which is aspirin exacerbated respiratory disease. And so, I mean, I've been back and forward to doctors since 2018. For 5 years, I've been back and forward. And all they do is give me, when I have a flare-up, which is there's inflammation in my body, and it's flaring up, and it starts in here. It causes my sinuses to, flare up so badly that I can't breathe. It blocks over the passageways and I can't breathe. Then my asthma gets triggered, and then it works its way down through my digestive system, and then it's like an irritable bowel syndrome where the digestive system flares up as well. So there's this total channel of inflammation that's working in my body. Now, when you go to the doctor, they'll give me some prednisolone, which is like a steroid, which takes the inflammation down, and they'll give me antibiotics if it's become infected. And it's been this constant cycle of being, you have to wean yourself off a steroid, you can't stay on them. So it's like this constant cycle of it flares up, you get the treatment, and then you feel good for a while, and then it comes back again. The whole time, my spiritual side of me has been trying to work on why is there breathing problems, because breathing problems is a suffocation, feeling suffocated in life, and going back to different traumatic events that have happened to pinpoint when this actually started to get worse, and working on releasing that energy as well. I'm not just doing what a doctor says, I'm also doing the emotional side of things. But something that's quite fascinating for me is I am very in tune with food and my body. And quite often if I eat something and I don't feel right after I've eaten it, I will put it down to what is in that food. I'll start looking at what is that food doing in my body. Because we're all made up of different parts and whatever, and our cells are different, our DNA is different. So some things you have lactose intolerance and you have gluten intolerance. There's diabetics, there's so many different things that can upset the body. And one thing that I have, every time I used to eat watermelon, I would get a really bad stomach cramp from watermelon. And I used to think that's, mainly that's just made up of water, really, isn't it? There's not a lot in watermelon, but or rock melon. I couldn't eat anything like that. I would feel quite ill. When I was younger, if I ate tomatoes, I've eaten tomatoes for years, but quite often, sometimes after I'd eaten a tomato, I would get a swelling in my lip. And so sometimes it can be very, very subtle when you're eating different foods and not realizing what they're actually doing in your body. And natural plants, vegetables are good for us, but there is a natural chemicals and vitamins and minerals inside the plants, and they're not going to be suitable for everybody's body. So as I've studied more into this AERD and followed other people, I've joined a support group to see what other people have done to improve their life. There is a thing called, I think you pronounce it salicylate. It's found naturally in plants, but it's also an aspirin tablet, that you take for pain relief. is full of salicylate, and my body is totally allergic to it. So as I started going through the list of foods that contain salicylate, I can see when I have eaten those foods, when I have not felt well, where my digestive system has become inflamed, my nose has become inflamed. And so when I went to an allergist, they told me it was from ryegrass, cats, and dust mite. But I kept thinking it's got to be something more. It's got to be food related as well. And now that I'm seeing the list of foods that have this salicylate in them, I can see where I have ingested those foods, and it's, caused inflammation in my body. Another thing is alcohol. Back in 2018, I had this instinct to not drink alcohol again, to just cut alcohol out of my life. I've since found out that wine and beer in particular have so many salicitates in them that drinking wine or beer on a regular basis would just continually keep inflaming the body. So, and one thing I did really feel disappointed about is tea and coffee. I don't drink a lot of coffee, but I do love my cup of teas, and tea is a no-no. And I drink quite a fair bit of tea during the day, so that's something else I'm going to cut out. So now that I've sort of understood the diet side of things, and I've been delving and delving, I'm starting to see that so many autoimmune diseases is food related. And if we can change our diets and be aware of what chemicals in certain foods are triggering the inflammation within the body, we can reverse it. Something that absolutely fascinated me as well was when I joined a support group to talk to other people about, some people have been diagnosed 10, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and I'm just watching what they've done to improve their life. I have found it quite fascinating that there was quite a few, because I had written my experience and then said that I am using a lot of self-healing, as in meditation and visualizing of the cells in my body, and putting that with change of diet. So it has to be a mind-body connection. And I think there was probably 3 people that just said, you will never cure this. You learn to live with it, you'll never cure it. And I feel like they are restricting their own healing by saying you can't cure something. Like, have you ever heard of somebody that's been told by a doctor they'll never walk again, and they do? Or you'll never have a child, and they do? Or you've got stage 4 cancer and you're not expected to live, and 15 years later they're still here? There is so much power in our own thoughts and the way we view it. So in my mind, I feel I have a lot more wisdom now to know what to deal with foods, because I've got the knowledge of what my body is doing. I feel a power in a way to reverse it. And by staying on a healthy path with food, I believe I will reverse this and take myself back to when I felt better. So that is my belief system, and that is what I will manifest for myself. But I also understand if someone else wants to believe that they have a label and they will never ever cure themselves, if that's what they want to believe, then I will allow them to believe that. But I found it, I won't tell another person that you can't heal something and you can't be cured because of my belief system. Like, why would I want to instill my belief system onto somebody else? I'll just let them have the belief system that they want to have. If they ask for help and if they ask for healing, I will go ahead and give it to them. But if they don't want it, and if they want to stay with their belief system, then that's where they will be. That's where I will leave them be. Because it's not my journey, it's their journey. So it's such an interesting time when you uncover something to then be able to put pieces together. Because before, I knew there was something about food, but I was floundering. I didn't quite know what I was looking for, and I kept asking Spirit to try to direct me with food, but I couldn't get a word. What I ended up doing was saying to Spirit, I've seen three normal GPs over the last 5 years, and I've seen ear, nose, throat specialists, heart specialists, lung specialists, breathing specialists, immunologists. I've seen so many people, and no one has actually given me a pinpointing point to where I can actually start doing the work myself. So I asked Spirit if they could possibly put me in the direction of a doctor that can give me an answer. So last week I rang my normal doctor, and she has become pregnant and is now not consulting in my area. So I had to get a new doctor, and I said to this young receptionist, I really need to see a doctor. I need some follow-up stuff to go through. And she said, well, I'll put you on to this new young doctor, young female. She's really good. And I'll tell you what, I got the doctor that diagnosed me, that had all the answers, that gave me more help in like a 40-minute consultation that I've had in the last 5 years. So Spirit put me with the right doctor, which has then helped me to put myself in a position where I can actually help myself and heal myself, now that I have that knowledge of what I'm looking for in the foods and the drinks, and even in shampoos and makeups and skincare. This salicylate and acetyl salicylate. It's in shampoos. It's in everything. So if my body is reacting to it, I've just been putting it into my body left, right, and centre without realising what I'm actually been doing. So now that there is an awareness, it can be cut out, and so the healing starts. So yeah, I just thought I would share that with you, because this has been a very long journey for me, and in some way I hope that I've helped you to start to look at the foods that you're consuming, any drinks that you're consuming, habits, any products, and do know that once you understand why, because your body is so good, our bodies are amazing, they react for a reason. Even like, just getting off track for a second, for years and years when someone had a concussion, you instantly wanted to go to sleep. After a concussion, you want to go to sleep. And for years, they made you stay awake. They kept you awake after a concussion because they thought it was bad. On the weekend, a story came out on the news that studies have shown that it's better for the body to sleep. Our body naturally does that. If our body knows what it has to do, if a body knows that it heals by sleeping, then it's going to put you to sleep. It's the same as when you have inflammation in your body or an autoimmune disease. You want to sleep, you're tired, because when you are asleep, your body reduces inflammation. So your body is helping you all the time. But doctors will look at it like something's going wrong. You shouldn't be sleeping, but it's your body healing itself. And it's the same with, just looking at the foods that we're putting into our body and how it's reacting. So, yeah. I hope if you've got some kind of autoimmune disease, or if you are working on your own healing, sending all my best wishes for that you get on the right track of what it is that you need to, you coordinate the whole thing. You coordinate the food, whatever you're putting into your body, the outside, your chemicals around the outside of you, your emotions, and looking it back to, when did this first start? When did I very first start to notice these emotions, and what traumatic emotional event was happening in my life at that time? To try to tie it all together, and you work on all of it together. You meditate, you try to talk yourself through the emotions that you're going through, you look at what you're eating, you look at what you're drinking, you try to do movement, exercise in some way. I know it's very, very hard if you have a disease where you are just so tired all the time and you have no motivation to exercise. I found doing simple things like even just sitting in a chair and just moving your arms around, just swinging your legs up and down, just turning your head around, even if you just want to sit and do it, it's movement still. But it has to be mind, body, spirit, all working together. So thank you again for listening to me. Have a lovely day.